Hey guys, so I'm going to talk briefly about Civilization's Revolution and kind of what it is. This is kind of just a basic review so that you get what the game is. It's probably the game I played the most out of all video games I've ever played, primarily because it's kind of hypnotic, and I play the Xbox 360 on my bike, and you don't really have to pay that much attention to it, so it's kind of a nice game to play. What about it? Okay, so let's start out with the real basics. Okay, so it's a turn-based game, and you basically, there's multiple ways to win. You can develop the most technology, and eventually launch a spaceship. You can win by conquest. You can win by culture, money. You can just get a shitload of money and win. There's a number of ways to win the game. There is also, the map is set up into square units, and basically each of these tiles, I'll call them, represents different resources, and this is fairly standard for these games. It is a square system. It's not rectangle. You know, it's not hexagon or anything else. It's square based. So keep that in mind. The terrain varies. There's mountains, there's hills, there's grassland, there's woodlands, there's water, there's ice, there's kind of there's a lot of terrains. Each terrain has different resources you can get from it. Grasslands, you get, you know, food because, you know, you make it into crops basically, and there's a number of other wood you get to make production of something. As far, now what can you produce with this? Well, there's a number of things that you can produce. There are buildings, wonders, and units, primarily. You can also, oh, real quick, the different kinds of resources you gain are gold, science. I like how science is a resource, which you usually get from the sea, which is weird to me. What did I say? Gold, science, food, production, or yeah, production basically, and I think that's basically the major ones. Yeah, and that's basically what you're working with. And with these resources, you can produce various objects. And buildings, for example, are, you can build a temple, expand your culture. It's kind of what it ends up doing. Library, increase the amount of science you get per resource. Barracks, increase your military units' strength. Wonders, you can win a victory eventually with them. The wonders that you can create are, you know, they range from the Great Wall to the United Nations, and you know, there are all kinds of ones. With the Great Wall, for example, it basically prevents other nations from declaring war on you until they get to a certain technological point. Units are basically, the best way of thinking of them is there's military units, there's trade units, there's spies, and then there's settlers. And the military units have a huge variety. You can go to tanks, to you know, warriors is kind of the range, and it takes you through an entire history. It's not segmented, so you start out, you know, really like 4000 BC, and you move your way through, basically. So that gives you the depth of the technology jumps you're going to make in the game. What else to mention? The units usually move. In the beginning, they have 1 to 2 radius, is usually the standard. Spies move to, you know, so usually you're not moving very fast. There's also, on some squares, eventually, or you'll find there are other civilizations, of course. They have a zone around the city or wherever they are, which is basically their nation state. You follow? So you can't enter that territory unless you declare war, or you've got a spy or trade unit. What else? Other cultures, depending on what level you're playing, will act aggressive or defensive against you. You can play it on different levels. The easiest is Chieftain, the hardest is Deity. Deity is incredibly difficult to play. You can also play other individuals. What else about the game? You can also get aircraft and naval units. Early naval units have to stick near the land. What else to mention? Oh, there's Atlantis. In every map, seemingly, there is a Atlantis. If you find the Atlantis, which is usually found, well, almost always found, I can't think of a time that I didn't find it, in the middle of the ocean. Which makes sense. Where the hell is Atlantis? Anyway, you find it, you get extra technology. There's also an aspect of the game which is great persons, which, for example, let's say you develop Einstein because you put a lot of, you basically get him. He ends up basically increasing your science production, or you can create, or you can make a giant jump. Like, for example, let's say you were researching cars. You can just instantly learn cars. That's another aspect of the game, which is you, with your science resources that you gain, you develop technology. You can pick which technology you want. To a certain extent, of course, some technologies lead into other ones. So, yeah, how much time do I got? I got plenty of time. Okay, so, yeah, so basically, there's a number of other people that you can develop or individuals you can gain. There's all kinds. You can develop military general commanders, which add instant veteran status, and real quick, veteran status. With your military units, if you build a barracks, you can develop veteran status instantaneously, or you have to win 3 battles, basically. With veteran status, you're basically your military units are more advanced. They can kill. You know, they're like, if a warrior unit is level 2 attack, it jumps to a level 3 kind of thing. So yeah, you can also make your units defend, attack, but yeah, the game, just to keep in mind, is a turn-based game, which is hard. So a lot of people have seem not to fully understand what turn-based games are anymore because there's not a lot of them around. Well, I mean, there's some very popular ones, like Final Fantasy, but of course this is not a Civilizations-based one. A way of thinking about it, if you've played Age of Empires or even Total War, is it's basically taking the part where you're moving your troops around and making that basically the whole game. And you basically go from year to year, and it's a turn-based system, and you basically develop your cities. So it's kind of like that, without the individual commanding military for Total War. With Age of Empires, it's like Age of Empires, only it's turn-based. So you go, then the other side moves its units, and then you slowly end up in conflict, and eventually one of you wins and one of you loses. You can win multiple ways. If I have not mentioned this, I'm forgetting, which isn't good. Alzheimer's, no. Alzheimer's is serious. But you can win by military means, technological, wonder, economic powerhouse. Basically, you get a lot of money. There's a lot of civilizations you can play. Each civilization has its own advantages and disadvantages. For example, German units instantly start out, their warrior units instantly start out with veteran status. Mongolian units, when they come across barbarians are, I don't think I mentioned this, barbarians are little townships, basically, that are not part of a civilization, so they cannot create a confederate, can produce more cities, and they usually don't go that hardcore on the offense. But if you take them over, you get money, or some random unit, and sometimes map and technology advancement. So that's kind of what you get if you take them. There's also, usually there are different locations for, similar to this, that are friendly villages. You don't have to fight them. They usually give you just money or units or expanded maps. So it's kind of similar. There is Atlantis. I think I already mentioned that. Oh, each map has Atlantis, which is usually in the sea. And see, if I'm repeating any of this, I've been trying to get this video right, but it's hard for me to keep all the stuff in the time zone. But I think I'm going to be good this time. What else? you can develop one of the things that's disappointing with the game is you can seemingly only develop one atomic bomb. In Civilizations 2, the one that I started out with, you can develop tons of atomic bombs, and basically you'd have a nuclear holocaust in. That was kind of always fun. What else to mention about the game? I'd like to just mention that this industry has seemingly hit a wall in that it is hard to develop anything past a slightly better graphics. However, it's always kind of fun to play. You know, it's kind of like playing it's an old school video game in a way, almost. Or play a Age of Empires where you don't have to constantly move your archers back and forth, where it's kind of automatic. There are different scenarios you can play on the game, of course. You can play, for example, you can play the Conquest map, or there's different maps that you can play. Similar to Civilizations 2, if you're familiar with this. I know I keep referencing this, and I'm sure not very many of you know what I'm talking about, but it's the last Civilizations game I played before this. I know this review has not kind of dove into my feelings about the game, except I will mention them real quickly. I think that it is a very good game. It's entertaining. Its replayability is infinite for me. I know this review is a little bit late. I know everybody who's bought this game has probably bought this game. But in my opinion, I hope that this kind of video game continues. Maybe not. I hope that they find a way of expanding it slightly. I think, or they develop a Total War for the Xbox 360. That would be amazing. Because I really liked Total War Europe and Total War Shogun. I'm just going to say Shogun. They also have Viking Total War, which was kind of fun too. I'm a fan of Civilization conflict games because I'm a political science major. I like that concept of different cultures developing stuff. So with that, I guess that's the end of this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to comment below. Subscribe if you really liked it. But or comment below. Subscribe, comment. Yeah, that's basically it. Have a great day. I know I'm kind of drifty right now. I don't know why. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.